People at home, don't worry, you haven't missed a thing. We certainly weren't talking about stuff we didn't want to be on recording. We are going to catch up with our heroes and see where they're at right now.
Heroes? Yeah, it's you.
You guys are my heroes.
What's your quest?
Your quest?
Oh my goodness. The Holy Grail.
Obviously,
You're dating yourself now.
I've already done that. The silver hair didn't do it.
Yeah.
It just doesn't like the Dave Grohl.
Let's see
It's so
here.
kind of you to call it
Instructor
silver.
HDMI.
Oh, it's
HDMI.
That's the Native American. I can claim that on.
Instructor HDMI to all destinations, including the remote PC. Does that work? Yay, okay. Let's get this party started. Let's crank this VM up. It hasn't been running for over a week now, so let's see if it hates me. Do I remember the password? It would appear as if I wasn't typing in there.
My keylogger is still capturing.
Yeah, it does. That's the beautiful thing about keyloggers. It doesn't matter where you're typing, it's going to catch you. All right. Oh, zgrep and blah, blah, blah. We got a lot of stuff going on in here. All right, so somebody tell me, where did we leave off?
We were working on my computer, right? For like that assignment.
Yep,
So we
we had, I guess, computer come up here. So we were looking at what?
were extracting repeated messages, throwing them to a fully expanded file,
Mm-hmm.
and then getting counts. And then that went into our assignment that we had for the last week and a half, which was the 4-part extraction.
All right, so does anybody feel like they've made some pretty good progress and they're happy with where their program's at right now?
I got it done.
Yay!
I like the format a little bit better, but I got
Okay.
it done.
All right, so I want you guys to continue to work on that. So we have 2 paths. Well, we actually have 3 paths that we could go down right now. Eventually, I want to get to the point where you're turning this in, where you guys are actually doing the analysis of the auth.log file and pulling out this information about the people that attempted to log in via SSH and printing out in a pretty way some sort of little report, okay, to the screen. So option 1 is we can dive a little bit more into this problem of the repeated stuff and see if we can get that figured out in class together. I think we've kind of focused on that. I don't want to be moving so slow that people get bored, but I also don't want to move too fast for people. I feel like we've done a good amount of coverage there, and if you've spent some time on it, you probably have a solution. But again, I don't want to leave people too far behind. At the same time, we haven't really talked a lot about printing out to the screen and kind of formatting that. So that's the first path we can do is we can continue to work on expanding those messages and getting the counts. The second option we have is printing things out in a pretty way on the screen. And the third option we have is saying, hey, we got this assignment. Let's kind of move on to the next thing. And that will be trying to write some bash scripts that will go and look at configuration files and basically do a check to see are our configuration files, are they secure? Or do we have them are they configured in a way that we believe is secure? So if you guys have heard of STIGs before?
Are we compliant?
Compliant, there you go. That's it. So you've heard one word that says the thing I was struggling to get out right. So you guys have heard of STIGs before, Security Technical Implementation Guides. These are guidelines that are put out by the Defense Information Systems Agency. For instance, for Chrome, what should your Chrome settings be to make Chrome secure, right? So I'll be careful in saying secure because compliance does not equal security. Compliance puts you in a position which they believe will make it as secure as possible.
It's the way I would describe it is it's baseline security configuration, not necessarily the end goal or the most secure posture you can have, but it keeps you from leaving something wide open.
Right. So imagine if they put out a STIG for your house. What kind of general guidelines would you have for people about how to keep their house safe?
Lock your door.
What'd you say? Okay. Let's get technical. All right. All right. Let's say you put out a set of guidelines for people to get their house secure. So I heard somebody say, lock your doors, right? Have a policy where people lock the doors.
Hide your kids, hide your wife.
Yeah. Hide your kids, hide your wife.
Fake ADT sign always helps.
Okay. So having a security sign up, having a security system is not a bad idea. Actually turning the security system on is an even better idea.
Yeah.
A lot of people pay for a security system and then don't use it, right? Dogs could be a suggestion, right? Making sure your windows are locked, having windows that have locks on them. I was very surprised. I've met people here that they're like, oh yeah, I didn't pay for the windows with locks on them. I'm like, they make windows that don't have locks on them? They're like, oh yeah, it's like $10 cheaper. I'm like, oh my gosh. They're like, I'm in Alabama, I don't have to worry about it here. So a lot of people don't lock their cars, right? There's when you have STIGs, the idea here is I'm going to give you general guidelines for the way that things can be configured to promote safety, right? It's not saying that this is going to make you absolutely secure where nobody can get in there, but it's going to make it where it's not the easiest attacks are not just going to win, right? So locking your door of your car, does that mean that somebody can't get into your car?
No, it keeps honest people honest.
No, but it makes it means that people that are just going around lifting door handles aren't going to get into your car, right? And often making your thing more secure than the next guy is all that it takes for people to keep moving on. If you at your house, if you have a shredder that only cuts one way, right? You put it in there and it only makes these vertical strips. Is that the best shredder that's out there? No, it is not. And Keith is laughing because if you live in the classified world, you've seen some shredders that absolutely pulverize paper to powder. It's nuts. It's so fun, by the way. But it's like, wah, wah, wah. Oh, we needed that. Well, too late.
Just get that roll of tape and see if you can get
Yeah.
this back together.
So, but how many of you want to drop 10 grand on a shredder?
It's gonna be compliant.
Yeah, it is compliant and it's fun, right?
Either burn it or pulp it.
So if you have a shredder, if you paid $40 for the shredder that only shreds things vertically, yes, could somebody get those? And if they had enough time and determination, put those back together? Yes, they could. But if your neighbor's not shredding their documents, they're probably going to go over to your neighbor instead. So sometimes it's just about making sure that you're not susceptible to the lowest level attacks. And STIGs are put out there to try to make sure that you're at least in a defensible position as far as security is concerned. You still need to take those guidelines, and you need to make sure that you're still able to operate, that your mission is still able to be performed. What a lot of people don't understand with compliance is these are recommendations, and most compliance scores do not expect you to get 100%. Right? They expect that you're going to look at each item and weigh for your business, is this the best way to do things? And that there's going to be a little bit of fudge in there that you might have to operate, you might have to adjust some things here or there. But it's meant to minimize risk. Not eliminate risk, but minimize risk. So the third option that we could do is take a look at some of the configuration files for our system. And I'll probably get us an Ubuntu image when we really want to start doing that, and start looking at some of those configurations and how we can pull information from those configs, see if they're compliant, and then change them to make them compliant with a little program, with a script.
be cool, because isn't that what you have the kids doing for the?
Yeah, this is what they need a lot of help with for Cyber Patriot, right?
I mean, if
So-
you're doing mistakes, you probably want to do something based off Red Hat.
No, wrong.
Well, if you're in government, yes.
No, wrong.
Okay.
Ubuntu is approved for government use. There is this terrible stereotype,
No, I know.
and I am doing everything I can to get people out of that mindset because Red Hat
You've kicked the bear.
is tanking themselves by cornering people.
Yeah.
And they've done nothing but piss off the Linux community.
What we like about Linux is that we work together and we're not all focused on the money. And Red Hat has
Yeah, Red Hat's trying to
violated that.
Appleize the Linux market.
Yeah.
and-
Fedora's just terrible, you know?
Well, it's not even Fedora itself. They tanked CentOS, and that wasn't enough for them. So they decided that they were no longer going to release their source code to
Which
them.
was free Red Hat, by the way. CentOS.
Yeah. So then they recreated CentOS into Rocky, and then there's also Alma, which is a bit-for-bit copy. And they decided they were no longer going to freely release their source code to those entities to continue making a free version of Red Hat.
Which is against everything that Linux kernel is about.
Burn them at the stake.
Yeah.
Let them go with Apple, let them have fun with that.
I really
Anyways,
don't.
so- All
right.
USB-C.
Yes, a lot of people in DoD still use Red Hat because they think it's the only thing they can get 10 years of customer support on and stuff. And then there's people still think that because Ubuntu is somewhat owned by Canonical out of the Isle of Man, which is a British territory, that it's off limits. But
I was just saying that, like, there's a fairly extensive library for Red Hat.
there
As
is.
an
No,
As an
so your
example.
point is not wrong. I hate that everybody runs to that. That's all.
Average Linux user argument.
Oh, no, I'm like-
No, that's GNOME versus GNOME, I think.
Oh, my God. Well, like,
No, your statement is actually fine. It's just,
four sticks, yes, for everything else, you're right. Like, Red Hat,
well, they got sticks for Ubuntu. They got an Ansible script too, I'm pretty sure.
oh, now we're talking.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh man, this is what this, what are these courses called? The discussion courses or whatever?
oh, God.
Or special topics.
Special topics, that's a special topic.
what we're all
discussion.
about.
That's right.
Got a whole class for it.
Oh, I got a special topic about this, but I'm not gonna get into it.
I got your special topic right here.
I did have one point to make. You were talking about specifically with STIGs. There's, I don't know if we want to dive too deep into the concept of POAMs, but like the idea that every time you make an exception, you need to document it so that when you do have those gaps, you know where your gaps are.
Yeah.
Well, it's on top of your POAM, part of that POAM entry is a mitigation.
So
you can't
POAM, before they move forward, is a plan of action and milestones. We'll expand that out. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's typically for most product owners, it's not enough just to POAM it because everybody's scared. So most ISSMs almost always require some kind of mitigation for anything left open. So if you can't implement this security protocol or whatever parameter, then how are you going to implement something else that is going to make sure that people don't enter in through this avenue of approach? But yeah, no, that's a good point.
400, 600.
Having the who?
It's a good squirrel. It's a good squirrel. That's what we're here for.
Was that your way of saying this was a boring topic?
Yeah.
That's fine, because I agree that compliance is a very boring topic.
DoD was still using Windows 7 when I left.
No, they're on 10 now.
Yeah, it was very exciting. In 2012, I started so I went to NSA. It's like, use cutting edge technology. And I go to my orientation for NSA, and I get an IBM ThinkPad that's like 6 years old with Windows XP on it. And I'm like, what in the living crap is going on here, folks?
Well, it's like I said, on Redstone, they were still using 7 on every, and we were supplied.
Uh-huh.
That's where I got the most of my computing experience in the Army is in supply,
Mhm.
and that stuff is ancient.
Yeah.
But everything, even AMCOM, when I went to AMCOM for my last year in, Windows 7. Everything was Windows 7.
Oh my
This was
gosh.
2017.
I've
Insane.
got some stories, I just
Oh,
can't,
yeah.
I can't say.
All right, guys. So, yeah. So those of you at home might be thinking, I wish somebody had told me to skip the first 10 minutes of this recording. But it's good talk, right? This is good for us to kind of get out. And this is a special topics course, right? So nobody really gave me their opinion about what they wanted to do.
Oh, let's move on.
So who wants to move on, and let's start looking at something else. A few? Okay.
I don't know.
Who wants to do, that was option 3. Who wants to do option 2? And let's talk about how to print things pretty to the screen.
I do have one quick question on that, but
Yeah.
outside of that, I'm not.
No, okay. All right, who wants to take a look at tackling this, expanding the repeats a little more?
I would like to tackle the part of the assignment where we were counting the root attempts. And that
Oh,
was-
okay. Yeah, we can do that.
And
I didn't
then-
make that as an option, but we can do that, sure.
That was what I was hoping for because it was assigned before we went to
Yeah.
fall break. So.
You went the Brewster's Millions approach and none of the above.
Yeah. Yes.
So-
Go ahead, sorry.
So real quick,
Yeah.
before we jump into that,
Mhm.
I had an issue that I didn't spend that much time. I spent like 20 minutes on, but it wasn't really that relevant. I was trying to get this nice, pretty ASCII banner going, but I had escape characters in it. And
Okay.
for the life of me, no matter which method I used to print text to a file or to the screen, it would always escape and mess up the formatting.
Okay.
So, are you aware of a way to print ASCII art when it has escape characters in it without messing up the format?
Nick Fisher,
Yes.
are you aware of a way to print ASCII art to the terminal?
ASCII art.
ASCII art. So, sort of what you said.
I've already got it on my terminal if you want to see it.
Trust me, I did internet searches.
So
and I
let's
tried a couple of
take a look
methods.
at what Nick has in his terminal that prints out in his terminal.
What the heck?
Yeah.
Do you have escape characters?
Here, hold on. Hold
No,
on.
not at all. I can show
Let's
you what I
let everybody else see. Let's not be selfish now.
Oh, of course.
Let's hook this HDMI up and show the class.
Get rid of your browser history.
I would get most of it,
You know, getting rid of your.
and then it would just jump out.
Get rid of the evidence.
It was-
Oh, wow.
it was
So
driving me-
every time I boot up either one of my terminals, this is the first thing that'll appear.
Yeah, so I've done that before.
And so basically what I did is I found some good stock images online, and I did basically I made this code to just input echo into the images, each line. And so then I went into here, and I just copied and pasted the outputs into it. So no, not this. It's
Whatever it's called. Let's see how you're printing and see if you have any escape characters in there.
nope. This is it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think this is without,
Are there any characters?
Escape.
Can you make that a little bit bigger?
this looks like it's made.
There used to be some utilities you could get that were like generated.
Yeah, I was wondering
I tried to do that when I did things that used other characters. One of the biggest problems was the commas, especially within the. I found that it worked in every other file, but for some reason I couldn't get the echo to work escape characters with the comma and the parentheses.
Apostrophes as well.
Yeah,
Because it
apostrophes.
prematurely ends.
Yep. And when I tried to do it with those, it would cause my .sc and shrc file to crash, and my terminal wouldn't load or boot. So I ended up, thank God I saved this on my hard drive, so I just reloaded my system state before I did this configuration, and I found these dotted pictures, so I copied these off the internet.
Okay, so thank you for sharing that. Very cool. Anybody else that does cool stuff in Linux you want to share? We're more than happy to give you a little bit of time in class to do that. So I guess the real question is, how do we print to the screen commas or parentheses?
Backslashes.
Backslashes, okay.
Which were killing
All right, so let's work on this together.
Oh my gosh, you have to backslash so much when you're doing those.
Yeah, well, so when I wasn't, so I've done your method, and then there's also like I want to say it's like EOF or something like that, like in the file. So you can start it and then you print it at the bottom, and it's supposed to capture everything in between, but it still escapes out like halfway through.
And you know, like I even went through and like I said everything and replaced everything to have a back parentheses in front of it. Still didn't work.
Yeah,
And a
that's
backslash.
what was killing me, because I had some.
It was just problem after problem with the ACIs. AC11, ASC11s.
Hello.
Hi.
Are we connected to the interwebs?
But James, you should have hit me up on Discord, man. I could have got you through that expanding group.
I've just been doing myself Docker over the weekend. Through CTF, I've been doing that.
Okay.
So I was just like, not caring about school.
I was working on Docker last night, Docker Compose to Container, and I'm trying to work through some struggles.
The bash all concern?
Doctor's gonna drive me to alcoholism if it
Want to play around with.
I'm never working in that level of IT, I don't think.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd go insane and become depressed within a week.
I got my containers up, but I've got some parameters that I'm still trying to work out to access data not co-located.
I'm just exploiting Docker.
All right. So if we look at this, this looks kind of weird as an echo line. Okay? So let's see if we'll be able to get this to print off. What are our predictions? Will it break, or will it actually print what we want it to print?
Yeah, I don't know.
I was on the research assistant.
We're clicked in here.
Why are we printing an exe
That's
file?
probably why. Because I was
Oh.
lab management and different other.
So it do print. Woo. All right. So what is?
I was in material science.
But it didn't print because the whole point is to try to be able to print the parentheses.
It did print the parens. Look at that around x86.
Not parentheses, quote. I think quotation.
So you're talking about putting backslash as a non-escape
Then they were
character,
nice.
like ignore the
They were nice.
spaces.
So you're trying to print a backslash.
So let me see if I can pull my file.
Well, so the only reason I know what Notepad++ is because it's a good way to be able to edit XML
People
files.
were nice.
Yeah, it's a
You
good.
know, it's,
I put it on
it is a
everything.
good way in Windows unless your instance is blind at any kind of plain text
Well, he wasn't
document.
my boss. That was.
Because XMLs you can just open in text.
He's,
Oh,
There are
that's the
some
boss's
that you
boss.
have to have. It looks like
he's director.
gibberish.
He's nice. He'll help you.
So is that
But
invoking?
you just-
Because it does say
you don't wanna get him
x86,
mad
so
at
it's
you
like, it's almost like an
for
emulator
frustrating
saying, hey,
you know.
in this format, I want you to print all of these things like you would in Notepad++.
There's the one of the problems I
So
ran
here's a
into this
problem. Oh, I see what the problem is there.
You forgot another quotation mark.
So we seem to be able to, if you use a backslash, we can print quotes, quotation marks, we can print.
Yeah, that's a lot of backslashes.
It's hard to understand, when you're looking at the echo line, it's not intuitive. But you can use backslash to escape a backslash.
Let me see if I can find.
So basically what you're saying is here's a backslash, but I don't want you to cancel, so here's another backslash. Cancel
So you're
out.
saying, I want you, so backslash has superpowers, right? There are certain characters when we're printing that have superpowers that mean something different. And when you escape it out, you're saying, no. Put on your Clark Kent glasses. I just want a regular backslash, right? I don't want your superpower backslash. So backslash is used to say, don't give this character superpowers, just print the regular character.
So if you were to do quotation and
Where do I need to go?
four backslashes, 3 backslashes?
Echo.
And
So if
in
I
the
do
quotation,
quotation,
would it just be backslashes?
backslash. So you read these two characters. Sorry, these two right here, this backslash. You're basically saying this first backslash says, whatever comes after me, just use the normal version of it, not the superpower version. So we say that'll print a single backslash. Okay. So if I hit enter, this should give me a single backslash. Well, if I did it right and put a quote at the end.
Oh, I thought you had it.
Right? Okay.
Do you have to do that for every character, or
Yeah. So if I want to put another backslash, I can't just do the backslash there because that's going to backslash the quote out. Right? I do 2 of those.
That's what I was wondering.
Okay, that is unexpected behavior.
Well, hell, add another one, see what happens. Just Scooby-Doo this crap. There. Oh, wow.
Okay, so no. My mind is breaking. Okay, so in theory, this first backslash should say just print a backslash.
Yep.
The second backslash should say just print a backslash.
But it didn't.
So I would expect that this would print 2 backslashes. I don't know why. I don't know why. It's just giving me 1. So, but we've solved the problem. This is like prepper mentality. 1 is none. 2 is 1. So I'm interested to see if we put 8 of them, do we still only get 2 backslashes? We do. So this will be something that I have to figure out. So I'm guessing that this is going to give us 3. And adding 2 more is still going to give us 3. I do not know why.
All right, so this was one of the files. I found my files.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, except for there's a lot of slashes in here, and so then it kind of gets.
Yeah, so when you do your echo line, it's going to be complicated, but it will be worth it.
This was my other one.
Yes, so you'll have a lot of slashes.
Yeah.
Was
So-
double your backslashes?
But I did find, let's see if I can focus on this.
Because chances are you're not gonna have more than 1 backslash, because that's,
He
it's a
has-
differentiator.
So he has it in like italics, kind of. He's writing words in italics, right? So there's a lot of backslashes.
Might have been on my regular computer that
Okay.
I was, so there was like, supposed to be, I'll see if I can find it again, but basically something you can put, it's like everything after this is plain
Escape?
text.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh.
but it would make it like halfway through and then it would get fed up.
Yeah, so there's a Python thing that you can definitely do that with. But that's an interesting thing in Bash. So yeah, we'll look into that.
I mean,
Okay.
it's not that important. If we want to do the root thing, I think that's more.
Yeah, I
important.
think what we'll do is we'll investigate those logs now. So let's see, do we have an auth.log? So let's,
I was just trying to pretty up my final report
yeah.
more.
Okay, do we have auth.log files on this machine? Okay.
Auth.log right there.
CD, yeah, there's an auth.log, isn't there? So less.
It's crazy, you named it all.
Okay, all right. Okay, so we were looking at SSH login attempts, right? So in particular, we were looking at invalid password and invalid passwords that were used to log in to try to log in as root, to try to log in as Ubuntu. And then we are also looking at, just in general, for other invalid users, what kind of login or bad passwords were used for invalid users. So let's do this really quickly. Let's grep auth.log. But we need to say what we're looking for, right? So it's grep, what do you want me to look for? Where do you want me to look? So the first thing we want to look is for invalid user. And let's do the -i. What's the tag I do? The -i?
Case insensitive.
Right. And we're going to pipe this to less so it doesn't just barf it out on our screen. Okay, so we have a lot of users, or a lot of invalid user things in here. So I need to figure out which one of these lines I want to try to isolate. So which one do I want to try to isolate, do you think?
I mean, which one do you want? Like,
So right now, let's.
Root user, right?
What'd you say? Well, okay, we can look for root, right? So if we were looking for root, we don't want to. We want to look for invalid password.
And then also, is it invalid logon attempt?
Okay, session closed for user root. Connection closed. There's lots of stuff for user root here.
Can we just look for just root?
Yeah.
Because I think it.
It worked for mine with just root.
Yeah. I think it's something else that we're.
All right. So this is a very important phase called looking at the data.
Failed password for root.
Failed password, not invalid. Failed. Okay. All right. So now we go back and we can isolate this. Failed password. And I'm just going to check this out first and see if we get a bunch of lines that say failed password. Okay. So this looks like a very useful query because failed password for invalid user, failed password for root, failed password for Ubuntu, right? So here, contained within this, we need to separate it out, but contained within this, it looks like we have the answer to this is the beginning of the answer for 3 of the things we're looking for. Actually, it's probably the beginning of the answer for all of them, is looking for this failed password, right? So now we can pass this along and then just grep for root, and let's see what happens. Okay, so before we start cutting things, we want to make sure that we have uniform input. And that's kind of what it looks like we have here. Until we get down to this part, this message repeated X amount of times. Okay? So this is what we're looking for. We're trying to build something. This is the message repeated thing that we've spent a few weeks on, is trying to extract this failed password for root, okay, and repeat it 2 times to replace this line right here. Right? So that's what we've been working on. We're going to move past that. If you're still struggling with that, there are plenty of people in class that have solved that, and I'm sure they'd be willing to help you out. So for right now, what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of that right at the beginning.
Side note, I solved the other problem. I don't know what I was doing wrong because it's similar to what I thought the solution was going to be. Let it work this time. So
The slashes? Oh, printing? Oh, perfect. Okay. All right, so
yeah.
we're going to do a grep -v, and what does a grep -v do? It gives you,
Inverse.
it returns, instead of the lines that match, it returns the lines that don't match what your query is. So we're going to look for message repeated right? And we're going to get rid of everything in there that says message repeated. So like normal, I'm not just going to add something to this chain that I'm piping things through. I want to make sure that the data that the results that I get are in the right format for me to pass along to the next thing. So let's take a look at that. Only takes a second. And we're going to just hit page down and look through here and see if we got all those message repeateds. Okay? Now I'm going to take a little detour really quickly to help you make sure that you're not losing extra data. Okay? So we are going to go here. We're going to use wc-l on auth.log. Now this is something we've used before. What does wc-l do?
Word count.
Line count.
Yeah, WC is for word count, and the -l says count lines instead of words. So what do we expect to happen when I hit enter?
Counting how many lines are total in the auth.
This should tell us how many total lines there are in auth.log, right? Okay, 1349 lines. Well, let's now do our grep of how many failed passwords there are. And then do wc-l. So that should tell us how many total lines there are that have failed password in there. Okay, 284. Somebody remember that. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to grep -v message repeated, and we're going to send that to wc-l. And that's 212. So now I'm going to do a new query and just do, instead of the -v, I'm just going to do a grep for message repeated. So what am I doing here? First, I'm checking to see how many lines matched failed password. How many lines did grep find that had failed password in it? If I do this -v and get rid of the message repeated lines, how many lines does that leave me? And now I'm just going to do a little bit of math to check here and say, okay, I want to count how many lines match message repeated. 72. So is 212 plus 72 equal to 284?
Usually,
It is.
yes.
Yeah, in most cases. So we already looked at the results when we had, like this one right here. We looked at the -v for message repeated. But I want to go back here, get rid of this -v, and let's make sure that that query that we use is only matching things that say message repeated. Now this to some people might seem like a step that's unnecessary, but it only takes a couple of minutes to see what your data you're actually filtering out, and it'll save you a lot of heartache if your match is too aggressive. So all we're seeing here is this stuff, this message repeated, so it looks like we're in good shape. I'm going to hit Q to get out of less. All right? So now let's go back to where we were. We've gotten rid of those message repeated, okay? And now we want to look at only the ones that have to do with root. And let's pipe that to less so we can look at it. What we expect to see is failed password for user root, right? Or failed password for root from, right? And then we have a bunch of different lines in here. Okay, so how many do we have? Well, that's easy to figure out. We can just do wc-l, 143 matches. Who wants to count by hand the 143 IP addresses, right? I've actually had soldiers do this because they didn't want to learn very simply how they could manipulate this and get built-in Linux tools to do it for them. We are going to learn that today. And the thing that sucked for these soldiers is the system we were using before for them to do these practical exercises, if they had to go on and do it again, they would have to count by hand again. and they get really mad because they've messed up. Why? Are humans good at counting large numbers of things?
No.
Why not?
Because we suck.
Yeah, it's very easy for us to lose attention. So I have a theory that, ADHD is not more prevalent today because it's just more prevalent. It just isn't organically there. I think that we have a society that has caused us to have degraded attention spans. And why? Because what happens if you have like 5 seconds where you have to wait somewhere? I'm pulling out my phone. I talk to my kids all the time. Like, look, we have a 10-minute ride somewhere. Leave your dang phone in your pocket. You don't have to be entertained. Leave the radio off. Have 10 minutes to just talk to yourself. I don't know why we're like petrified to actually talk to ourselves and think, right? So when I was riding my bike as a kid, you got a 15-minute bike ride somewhere. I thought about my life, like what's going on in my life? What do I need to change? What do I need to do better, right? We don't do that anymore. We try to fill every second, and it's often filled with garbage. So why did I get on that rant? I don't know. Maybe I was feeling that today. But let's try to make sure that we just take a little time to think about the things that we're doing here. All right. We don't want to just count these things by hand because we're not good at that. We don't have great attention spans. We are prone to error. If we can get something to count them automatically, not only does it save us time, well, it might not save us time. If all we have to do is one file of this counting in your whole life, it might be better just to count by hand. It'll be faster to do that than it will be to learn how to write a program to count it for you. However, if you're going to have to do this ever again, it's not a fun job to just sit there and count IP addresses that you see and keep a tally of them. So we want to figure out how we can do this automatically, and it's something that we can definitely do. Right. So if we grep for root and we put that to less again, let's look at our data. So what do we have? We have lines that match here, where we have some stuff here, then failed password for root, and then we have an IP address. Okay? Now, what is the actual question? What did it ask you to report? In the assignment, what did I ask for you to do? Yes. How many unique IP addresses tried to log in as root and failed? And I want a count of how many times each one of those IP addresses tried to log in. So again, I could just take this, it's 143 lines, I could just do a little tally and kind of count, but we want something that's repeatable and instantaneous. So we're going to figure out how to do that. Now we have a friend who loves to cut stuff. So we can cut this out, can't we?
Awk.
We could use awk. We definitely could.
And then just take awk, and it would be basically that. If you just want that portion, you just take the portion.
All right. Well, so let's try that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's the 11th column if we cut on spaces, right? So we know how we would do that in cut. We would say cut. We've done this before. Our delimiter is space, and we want the 11th field. Okay? Let's pipe that to less. If all went well, we should have a list of just IP addresses. Nice. Okay. All right. So how would we do that with awk?
So you grab the same thing.
Yep.
Let's see. 'Cause I've actually got this pulled up. All right. So you would do awk, and then I did single parentheses. Not parentheses. Jesus, why am I saying that? Single quote.
Sorry.
Single quote. Oh Lord.
Single quote.
Single quote.
Okay.
And then that bracket. And then print space. I don't know if it would be 11. See, I've got $11, but I think that's because I was passing it through an argument. No,
Free to try.
I think it still would be, yeah. And then close the bracket, close parentheses, and then you can do it to less, I guess, if you want to.
Yeah, we want to. All right, so we're hoping that this gives us just a list of IP addresses as well. Okay. All right, so when would we use cut and when would we use awk?
What's all?
Now we're really going to start shivving each other, right? So again, like I said, I don't remember if this was this class or another class that I talked about. People get comfortable with one type of loop and they use that loop. Or people get comfortable with one tool and they use that tool. So there's plenty of arguments out there about when to use cut, when to use awk. The reality is that there are a lot of Linux tools that have overlapping functionality. Because these Linux tools, a lot of them were developed by individuals who found the need to have something and then they just contributed them to the community. It's not like anybody said, hey guys, I want you to make a tool to do this, you to make a tool to do this. There was a little bit of that, but a lot of times there were just people like, hey, we need a tool that can do this thing. And then somebody would be like, all right, I'm on it. And they'd make a tool to do this thing. And so there are overlapping functionality. There is overlapping functionality between some of these tools. So if you're comfortable with cut, that's how you can cut. So what's nice about awk, we didn't have to tell it what to use as a delimiter. It automatically used spaces. What if this was separated by tabs? Would awk still work the same way?
Probably.
I don't know, would it? That's a good question.
Is
If-
it tab space or tab?
Well, tab
Is it-
multiple spaces.
Oh,
So
Right.
I would count each space as its own thing. Is that what you're
So,
asking? If you would count
tab-
each space as its own
So
thing?
tab is a separate character in Linux,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, okay.
So it's not just a certain number of spaces. You can it's actually a character. It is a string of spaces when you come down to it, but it actually is a separate character that Linux can parse and read and recognize.
Well, I wonder if there's a way to differentiate that if you had to using the argument within print and then another character, 11, saying the 11th column, but it's separated by this.
So when I'll tell you when I use awk if I have to rearrange if I wanted to grab columns and I want to rearrange the order that the columns come in, I believe you can do that with cut, but I typically will do that with awk.
You can just do one argument right after the other. And
Yeah,
say
you
which
can
order
tell it
want.
which order you want it to print things out in, right? And if I'm adding extra stuff that I want to print, like if I want to go ahead and skip a step and I want to use from awk, I just want to go ahead and print those results in a certain way with extra text. You can print other crap in there with it. So awk is a good friend to learn. I recommend you spend a little bit of time with it. But for what we're doing, cut would also work. So I'm going to go down the path of using cut, but know that awk would work. Just that awk statement will give you the exact same results. Right? So what are we left with right now? We have a list of IP addresses. Okay? And what we're trying to do is we need to get a count of how many these IP addresses tried to log in as root. So we need to get a count of how many times each one of these IP addresses tried to log in. Okay? We want unique IP addresses. So we can just do unique-c, right?
You have to sort.
Oh, wait, what are you talking about? No, I just do unique-c. Isn't
Yeah.
this is what we're looking for, right?
It is, and I mean, yeah, but if you wanted in descending order, you would use.
Ooh, but is it though? Because look at this.
I actually ran into.
Look at this, and then look right up here.
Yeah.
That's the same IP address, so it's not unique, is it?
Mm-mm.
Right? So like we've talked about before,
We're not on the part that I had. I had to do a little
had this problem.
Googling
Feel better.
for this,
Ah,
but it was
yeah.
after this.
the dash capital V, the version sort.
That wasn't working for me,
Oh, that's not good.
so I had to find a different way around that,
Okay.
but I did.
So the way that unique-c works, if you remember, is it looks at the line before and the line after and compares. So if you don't have it, and the reason it does that is it has to do with memory. It would have, if it had to remember these big, huge, long bunches of things, it would take up a lot of memory and would not be efficient. And because unique was created after we had the ability to sort things, the idea here is if you're going to use unique, dash C, or even if you're going to use unique, that you sort it first. And then unique will look and say, is this one the same as the next one? If it is, I'm going to get rid of the repeat. All right, now let me look at the next one. Is it the same? If it is, I'm going to get rid of the repeat. Because sort should put everything matching and line them up, right? So we need to sort this first. We don't need to do anything fancy, just a regular sort. And now let's look at it. What's the output look like? Okay, there we go. It's sorted. Maybe not in the way that we want it to, because it might be a little bit different, but looks good. Looks like everything's matched together. Why is 45 after 222? Well, we'll get to that later. Okay, so I'm going to hit Q and get out of there. Now let's try piping it to unique-C, and then put that in less so we can look at it. And that's sort of what we want, isn't it? What would make this nicer?
Putting them in descending order from greatest to
Right.
least
So
number of attempts.
yeah, if we put it you really want to, if you're looking at who tried to log in, it'd be nice to see the IP address that tried to log in the most times first, and then move down from there, right? So to do that, we can use our friend sort again, but we're going to use the dash n to sort it numerically. And now let's see what we get from that. Is this finally what we need? Oh, it's not.
R for reverse.
Right? Yeah, there you go. Thanks, Josh. So we need to add an R with that in.
I think it's dash N. Now, will dash R N work? Yeah, I guess it will.
Well,
I win.
you win?
I got it.
Oh.
I did cheat though.
Oh, sweet.
So I just put it in its own text file, and then I printed the text file to the report file. And then, because when I did it the other way, I thought I found it, when it's its own file, or when it's its own thing, it works. But when you have other code after that, it treats all the other code as just text. It's strange.
Well, in a pinch, you just have to make sure you include that text file with your package.
Yeah.
But that's nice, because then you can tell the user that they can customize it. All right, so here we go. This is one of our answers. This is what we needed. So this tells us how many IPs which IPs tried to log in as root with a bad password, and how many times they tried to log in. Now, are we really concerned with an IP address that tried to log in as root one time and failed?
Not really.
Well, right now we can afford to be, because how many total IP addresses are there?
They're like 284.
Well, look, no, unique IP addresses.
15.
15, right?
Okay.
So that's a tractable problem. We could actually go and do research on these 15 IP addresses and see where they belong, right? But I've had students have over 10,000 attempts to log in as root in a 2-week period. This is Chinese bots in the AWS IP space. Over 10,000 times. Do you know how many unique IP addresses there were? Hundreds. And you're not going to research all those. And there's a very long tail. Do you guys know what a long tail is? Let me look that up. Just take just a second to talk to you about that. Yes.
When a Gaussian distribution is the one that just keeps on going.
Come on, son. Search. You can do it.
Yeah, it never goes down to 0. It just goes down to infinitesimally small. I don't know where I remember that from.
Here we go. Right? So this is something that has a long tail. You got a whole bunch of things that only happen one time, right? So if I'm saying I want to find criminals that are causing problems in America, right? And I print this graph of how many times people have been arrested. You're going to have a crap ton of people that have been arrested 1, 2, or 3 times. But that's not really what you're interested in. You're trying to find the real bad folks. I guess the 1, 2, or 3 times could be real bad folks that are just good at not getting arrested. But probably these folks that have been arrested at some sort of threshold. How many times do you think someone could be arrested before we start considering them a menace to society or a bad person?
Are you talking about the United States or the rest of the
4 or
world?
5.
We'll say U.S.
I'll say
Yeah.
3+.
All right. So you've been arrested 3 or more times. There's probably something going on, right? So we can make that threshold and say, well, we don't want to keep anything that's less than 3. And we'll just throw all that away. So that gets rid of a whole bunch of data that we really don't care about. And that is what I'm talking about when I say a long tail. So if you have a tail here, you can see there are lots of 2s and a few 1s. But if you have 10,000 of these, which you're likely to have, if you have something up for any reasonable amount of time on the internet, you're likely to have some sort of data that you're looking at that when you're looking at enterprise that has a huge long tail. So be aware that you could use a threshold and cut this off. We're not going to do that necessarily right now, but if you have data that your report is spitting out like pages and pages and pages and pages, you might consider some sort of threshold. I typically use 5 for this assignment. If it's 5 or more times that they tried to log in with a bad password, then I think you're just guessing.
Would it
Right.
also be acceptable to do like a head or like, top 10?
Yeah, sure. Right, so once you get this, so here's what he's saying, right? So I could say like, well, I really only have time to research 5 addresses. So whatever your results are, I want you to give me the top 5. So I can do a head -5 and pipe that to less. And it'll give me the top 5 results. So that's a threshold you could do too, right? So just be explicit with me what you end up doing. If you're like, hey, for my report to be really pretty, I really only need 10. I only want 10 lines from this. That's something that you could later on you could change so that all of these commands would be something that is customizable. Okay. So we have now figured out how to do one of these. Right? This is how we figured out for root. To figure out the same thing for Ubuntu, you should only have to change one tiny thing on this line. And then the other thing you need to do is for invalid users, how many?
Oh, you're talking about you. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the machine you were running the code on.
Oh, no. So for this line right here, to print out the answer of how many IP addresses tried to log in as Ubuntu, I just need to change one thing in this line. To figure out how many invalid user logins there were and what invalid user names were used, it's a little bit more work. So we will work on that on Thursday. And on Thursday, we'll start to talk about how to print these out in a way that people can see, that's easy for people to read, and gives a nice little report. All right, that's it. Any questions?
Do you want it prettier than this? And I mean that wholeheartedly, because I can read it down.
No, I love that, man. It's great. That's
I didn't have the
that's pretty
banner.
close to what I did.
Banner's new for today. I didn't know if you wanted us to like create a table.
No, I like that. It's fine.
It's a little bit there.
Prints out exactly what I need, so I can grab any auth.log file, feed it to your program, and now it'll print this out.
My brain.
Just drops. No.
So if you need something to test it on, just let me know.
I was thinking, all right, you said, oh.
No, it just